9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta,
home of Matt Clunky, Sarlacc Snack Shack, and Power Converter Emporium.
it's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm proud to live in a blue state once again.
So let's talk about some stuff.
I don't know. Nothing's really been going on.
I know. We talk all the time now, and nothing ever happens.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Apologies to our 2.5 listeners out there. We're on pandemic schedule. So, until things kind of get straightened away again, it's going to be intermittent. So,
Yeah,
it'll be all the more. Yeah.
Yeah, forgive us some of the audio hiccups because we are doing this remotely still until we feel comfortable getting together.
Right. We all have loved ones, and we you have a girlfriend, I have a cat. That's how it rolls.
I have a cat too.
That's right, you son of a bitch. Stop hogging all the love.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of stuff has happened. We got through season 2 of Mandalorian, and I don't think we talked about it even a little bit.
No, we were waiting till the finale, which, true to form, just was like, whatever. It didn't break the fucking internet or anything.
Right.
No.
So my question to you is, I'm very interested in your perspective as a person who is not as well versed in all the supplemental, all the animated stuff.
Oh,
how did the whole series play to you?
It played just fine because smartly they did it where if you hadn't watched it, you get it, and if you have watched it, you get more of a richer experience. That's the way it always should be with these adaptations and crossovers and comic book, things. Make a film or a TV show that anyone walking off the street can sit down and have an enjoyable experience. But for people who know from whence it came, can go, that kind of experience.
Because there were some deep cuts in this season. I mean. Old schoolers, just Boba Fett in the end of the first episode was like, holy shit, and they got Tamura Morrison to play him. Was like, I said when that episode aired, when he turned around, I was like, if that's all we got of him, I am perfectly fine, but that ain't all we got.
No, not only is that not all we got of The Mandalorian, but thanks to a post-credit scene after the finale of season 2, we find out that there is going to be a supplemental series, whether it's going to be a one-off or whether they're going to make it a whole, like a going concern. But I really think it should be called The Book of Fett.
Yeah.
Not The Book of Boba Fett. It doesn't scan right. It feels wrong in my mouth. But you know what? I don't care what they call it. They could call the show fucking Grogu's Friend for all I care.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Let's get into it now. Fucking hate that name. It's the stupidest fucking name I've ever heard in my life, and I will never call Kevin the child, Baby Yoda, whatever. I will never ever call him Grogu. Hate
that stuff. Just gets up your nose, doesn't it? You have such a problem with names in the Star Wars universe.
I mean, there are three levels of names. All right, whatever. That's awesome, and the god fucking awful. And Grogu is the dumbest fucking name in the entire Star Wars universe. Name me one name that's more stupid.
Snoke.
Okay. All right, that's tied for first, but yeah, that's pretty.
Well, the thing is, there's even way stupider names than that of like the non-named characters.
All right, the guy that shows up for 1 millisecond in the bar scene, and he has a whole backstory, and his name is Snignurkar. Maybe I'll come around to it eventually, but I fucking hate the name Grogu.
It took me. My problem with it, I'm fine with it. It took me a while. I couldn't get it in my head properly. I couldn't get it in my head to which way where the R was. I was like, is it Grogu or is it Gogru? And for some reason, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. The thing that blew my head off was, so that episode, that was the Ahsoka Tano episode. That was the Rosario Dawson.
With Rosario Dawson, who is also getting her own series.
Indeed. And that was the one I was like, that's the one I watched Friday morning, 9:45 a.m. when I got up, because I was like, if I am not getting this spoiled, because it was kind of it was not leaked, but people were saying the name of the episode is The Jedi, and it was directed by Dave Filoni. So if Ahsoka's going to be in an episode, that's it. That's the one. And my prediction of her just showing up at the very end of the series and the last thing, I was wrong. We got somebody else, but
well, because they needed somebody who was strong with the Force to be able to reveal the child's name.
Exactly.
I mean,
that was my point. That's where I was going, because I was so prepared for her to show up, and I was like, I can't wait. And they dropped her in scene 1, frame 1. She's kicking ass on a planet, and I was like, this is great. And that whole scene with her training him, and she meets up with the Mandalorian, and then when she just offhandedly is like, yeah, Grogu and I can talk to each other, and I was like, I paused it and went, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Did they just dump his name like offhandedly? He's like, oh yeah, Grogu and I can talk to each other. Yeah. Fucking Dave Filoni, man. He is.
There's hardly been a misstep in The Mandalorian, but goddamn that name.
But the episode though.
Oh, well, the whole series. I mean, I was really worried it was going to become basically the A-Team, like Smallville Freak of the Week. Like, here's the Mandalorian. He's going to this planet for some thing to do. Oh, look, he can't do it unless he helps these people. Get B.A. Baracus out of the van and let's get this done. And there was a little bit of that, but not too much where I felt that it was ridiculous. So I was like, okay.
The first half of the season, the issue with it was you're not much of a video game player, but when you play a video game, you have your thing you're doing. You have your main quest, and then you have a side quest, which is like, oh, to get to the next part of the main quest, you have to help these villagers, and that's what the first half of this season was. It was every episode was a side quest as he was heading towards the Rock to head to the Jedi, to head to the thing, and it was like, oh, do this, and oh, we're going to storm this base, and we're going to do this.
And that's fine, because that's how he was able to get the not really a spear, a bar of pure Beskar, which came in very handy in the final episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, all right.
There was a great line from the dude from ScreenRant.com, and he was breaking down the episode and like the Easter eggs and stuff, and they were talking about that fight with him and Moff Gideon, and he said, about halfway through the fight, he suddenly remembers that he was the Sand Spider from Game of Thrones, or the Red Viper from Game of Thrones, and learns how to use the spear.
Yeah. Let's talk about Moff Gideon for a second. What a puss. I mean, I'd like to hear how he beat Starbuck to get the damn Darksaber to begin with.
Yes.
That should be an interesting story, because it was probably due to some conniving, because in pure battle, I mean, I don't even know if Boba Fett or the Mandalorian could take her out. Maybe.
No. And that's the thing. She was legit. In the animated stuff, you see her become the leader of Mandalore. You don't see it burn, as they keep saying, but
turn to glass.
Yeah, when they got dispersed throughout the universe, she was still in charge. That is something we definitely have to see. And interestingly enough, with the end of the episode, the end of the series season, where they, where we kind of, for the moment, wrap up the let's say the Baby Yoda.
Dan.
Yeah.
there's going to be, maybe not in The Mandalorian, but on another series, in one of the series, there's going to be a time when all is fucking darkness and our hero or our band of people or whatever are almost certainly going to die. And then, I shit you not, Baby Yoda, Kevin, the child, is going to show up out of fucking nowhere and blow people's minds with a lightsaber. Mark my fucking word. Or with force power. Whatever.
My prediction, I'll take that bet, but my prediction is, because I'm looking ahead, because I'm like, okay, we don't see him again, and I don't think, and he obviously didn't get wiped out in the Purge. So I'm like, okay, where?
Yeah, how did that work out?
My theory is that he's going to wash out of Jedi training because of his attachment to the Mando, and Luke's going to come back and go like, he doesn't want to do it anymore. He wants to be with his daddy, and that's going to break everybody's heart. Because that scene, man, when Din took off the helmet, oh man, bawling like a baby.
I got to tell you, Pedro Pascal handled that perfectly, because the Mandalorian cannot cry, but he was able to get, you could see in his eyes were getting a little bit of watery, but not one tear went down his, and he nailed it. I mean, that's perfect. I don't know how many takes it took to get that performance out of him, but nice. I thought that was and of course that was the scene where I was just like, good thing I'm alone, because I'm crying like a little bitch.
I wasn't alone, and I still was doing it. Honestly, my favorite part of the season, I should say, was the Bo-Katan episode when they turn around. Because I've been telling you for 2 years, like, what's the deal with the helmets? Because every Mandalorian we've seen in every other aspect has taken their helmet off all the time. And when they turn around and it's like, oh, he's one of them, I was like, oh, thank you for just explaining it.
Yep, and that's good. I will say that although, it was interesting the way they handled it on the base, where they needed to get the location of Moff Gideon's ship with Bill Burr, Bill Burr, who hates Star Wars, but now he has a grudging respect for it, apparently, now that he's been cast. But that was the penultimate episode for Series 2. And it dissipated the emotional punch of the helmet coming off. Because, it came off one time before in Season 1, but it was never in front of a person. It was in front of that robot. So I get it. But I think it also helped on the other side to show his love and dedication to getting the child back. So it was kind of a trade-off. Like, you diminish the punch of the helmet coming off, but you reinforce that he is not fucking around. This is his baby.
He was willing to basically give up all his beliefs for the child.
Well, maybe not give up, but betray slightly. We'll see. I mean, I would really like to see him explore more with more information from the other Mandalorians. Like, oh, so are we like the fucking, what is it? Not the poor boys. What's the fucking nut jobs here?
Oh, the Proud Boys?
Proud Boys, that's it. No. Are we the Proud Boy sect of Mandalore, and we're fanatical about not taking our helmet off? Is that
the Westboro Baptist Church?
Exactly. Or something like that. I mean,
want him to have, I think it would be cool for him to have somewhat of a crisis of faith. Like, what did I do? I did that, but do I need to keep the helmet on? And I think Pedro is like, I want to be in the show more.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I don't blame him for that. You're a fucking working actor, and God forbid you redeem yourself from the other piece of shit you were in this year. But we'll get to that later. Max Pyrite. Anyway, But yeah, I tell you, I was always worried about a Star Wars TV show just not having the production values or the storytelling. And I am, well, really, I wasn't worried past episode 2, maybe 1 of the first episode. But after two seasons of this, I'm like, fuck, man, I would go back and rewatch this before I'll go back and watch The Rise of Skywalker.
I was funny watching the very first episode of the season with the Great Dragon and Cobb Vanth and all that stuff on back on Tatooine, and I was like, oh, Dave and John went to Disney and went, so we were the biggest thing in the world last year. Can we have all the money, please? And they got it because the effects were. They actually went on location for some of that desert stuff because they were like, we can't, we can do what we can in the void, but we can't do.
Have you seen? You've seen that stage?
Yeah,
that LCD stage.
Oh,
and I'm like, man, that would be wonderful just to walk through there. Don't need to see a production. Just like put some cool shit up on the walls, and it's amazing what they can do now. And it's great. It's a massive expense to get it set up, but when you save hundreds of thousands over the years in travel cost and production budgets and all this
even
other
just
stuff.
The rendering costs of CG, it looks better than that anyway.
Right. Yeah. No, it's good. It's a lot better than acting against a green screen the whole time and have these slick, crappy CGIs, rendered along,
And the actors said, even like Carl Weathers said in the first season, like when they were in the boat in the lava lake and whatever before IG-11 takes himself out, they were like, yeah, usually you're in a pretend boat on a looking at a ball on a stick. He's like, we were in that thing and we could see the tunnel behind us the whole time. Yeah. He's like, it really upped their acting jobs because it's all real. It was there to react to.
Yeah. You know what else Carl Weathers said?
What?
You get yourself some vegetables, you get yourself a fire, and you got yourself a stew.
Wrong show.
Wrong show. Okay. I don't remember exactly what he gets, but the end result is a stew.
Yeah, he gets his hand cut off by bitten off by an alligator.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I missed that show, but I missed the first 3 seasons, and then kind of not much after that, but kind of yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll come back to it sometime.
And he directed one of the episodes. He directed the jailbreak episode. He directed the where they stormed the base one episode, the one with what's his name, with Horatio Sands, the blue guy, and he directed that. It was like it was so intense to see. That was one of the coolest things, like at the end of every episode, to see who directed it, because it's not like it popped up and it was like, it was Favreau, and then it was Carl Weathers, and Robert fucking Rodriguez directed the Boba Fett episode.
Yeah.
Did you see his animatics that he did?
Animatics.
So basically, his demo reel for the episode, he went out in his backyard with his kids and shot the fight scene with action figures.
Oh,
it's amazing.
A friend of mine sent me a link to a guy that did an entire action scene with stop action animation with the Guillermo del Toro action figure fighting off movie monsters. It's like imagine comic book guys, Private Stash, and all the monsters come alive to attack Guillermo del Toro. And Boba Fett's shooting, TIE fighters are coming, Godzilla shows up, Dracula's coming in for the kill, and it's actually pretty hilarious. And apparently Guillermo del Toro has seen it and approves.
That's cool.
Even though his accent for him was a little bordering on
problematic.
yes, we'll call it problematic. I don't know exactly what other word would be appropriate, but yes, exactly. It's like maybe he sounds like that, maybe he doesn't, but the way you do it, it kind of sounds like an insult, even though you don't mean it to be. So it's so yes, problematic sounds absolutely perfect the way to go.
Yeah, and then Disney dropped a buttload of content of what's coming out.
every show on the planet. Every Bib Fortuna, the early years, you know.
Well, we know how he ended now because we saw.
What is it about leading the huts where it's like, you can't be leader. You are under 500 pounds. Wait a minute. I will get fatter and fatter.
Cool Easter egg about that was the guy that got to play Bib Fortuna in that shot was the guy who played him in
Return of the Jedi, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. No. The guy who played him in Return of the Jedi was also the guy who did the voice of Admiral Akbar, and he has since passed. But he played him in Episode 1 in the pod race scene. He's one of the sound designers. He's
that's
Matthew Wood, I think. And they were like, yeah, they stuck him back in the suit and made him fat, and he was like, this is the best day of my life.
Unfortunately, he doesn't make it past the teaser for the series. So
no.
So this should be interesting. What is it with the Star Wars universe? You would think Tatooine is not one of the Outer Rim planets. It's more like it's Coruscant or something.
Yeah,
everything happens there.
The hub of the Force right there.
Exactly. Well, it's such a, have we seen Anchorhead yet? I want to see some of these fucking power converters, man.
Yep. Nope. Never saw Anchorhead.
So yes, in spite of, somewhat diminishing returns in the film franchise, the TV shows, I think, are going to be very, very good. And because they are live action, I don't know why I draw the line, but just I have to parse my time as best I can. I will watch all the live stuff, all of it.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's not that I have anything against the animation. If I had nothing else to watch or I had a less busy life, I'd be like, sure, let me sit down and binge that. Remember, I had the box set you lent me for a year before you needed it back, and I never cracked it open because it was like this monolith in front of me. Like, I just can't. I get it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And, for me, it's like, it's religion. I have to get every bit of it. But for that. For you, I mean, I get it. There's some really great stuff, but I mean, there's so much of it. There's so much of it.
I'm too busy watching Bridgerton.
We watched that as well. We finished all that. Did you finish it yet?
I did. Oh, of course.
Okay.
I did it in 3 sittings, I think.
Okay.
I love the innovative casting.
Yeah.
It was entirely predictable except for that one thing at the end.
Okay. Are we going to spoil that or not?
Well, I didn't want to really talk that much about Bridgerton. The fact that one of the
you find out who I was surprised they made that reveal. I was very surprised that they didn't drag that out for 2 or 3 seasons.
Right. But I think that's going to play in very nicely into the future series. From what I understand, there are 8 Bridgerton novels, and each of them take place with the main story being a different member of the family. So I guess Anthony or whatever his name is,
he's next.
He's going to be next, and Daphne will still be in it, but she'll be in a B or C storyline, much like Anthony was in the first one. So we'll see the whole family. It's just that the big major thing is going to become successively, these different characters. The series that I want to see.
What?
Eloise, baby.
She's coming.
Oh my gosh, that was my favorite character in the whole thing. Okay. And yes, it is basically a British period soap opera.
Yeah,
is what it is. But it has very fine sets, good acting, decent dialogue. So I'm fine with it.
And it got a little Game of Thronesy there halfway through. It got a little naughty with. There's a lot of sex in it.
Yes, it was a little. It was a little sexy.
I was a bit taken aback. I was like,
well,
oh wow.
Well, this is Shondaland, baby, and it's on Netflix, so we go in there.
Yeah, they sure did.
And I love the fact that show would have caused a national riot 50 years ago. A riot. Well, 60 years ago.
Okay.
Because of the casting and then the sex and all that other stuff. And now it's just like, oh, they're doing that kind of casting. Okay, got it. Yeah. Because usually in the period pieces you do not see African Americans in England in the 1600s being the landed gentry. And once you understand what they're doing with the casting, you're like, oh, okay, got it. It's like watching A Christmas Carol here,
Yeah.
Bob Cratchit is black and the wife is white, or vice versa. And it's all like, all right, I get it.
Yep.
We're not trying to trace the genealogy of every character.
Yeah, and we're not trying to be 100% historically accurate. Some shows are about that, but this show was not that.
yeah. Julian Fellows would not do a show like Bridgerton because this guy is so anal retentive. I mean, if something is off by like, this episode takes place in March, and that did not become available widely to the public until December, so we cannot use it. Like, okay.
Yep.
I'm sure the dead people that were around back then, their ghosts would be like, well done. So speaking of things that I wasted my time on.
And hang on, before we move on to that.
What do we got?
An offshoot of that, because we had watched Bridgerton and because we had watched the holiday episode of Great British Baking Show, they did the cast of a show called Dairy Girls, which is also on Netflix, and it's
Dairy Girls, DERRY, or dairies and dairy product.
No, the first one, the Dairy Ireland. It takes place in Ireland during the conflicts in the early '90s. Believe it or not, it is a comedy. It's a quick go through, and it's wonderful. It's really funny. And the one who plays Penelope Featherington is one of the stars of that.
You're killing me, dude. Because that the UK period pieces are my fucking jam.
Yep.
So now here I am getting a piece of paper out, and I'm going to write that shit down.
And there's only like 12 of them, or even 10. So it's an easy go through, and they're 20-minute episodes. So you'll bang through it in no time. And it's super fun. It's super funny. The accents are a little tricky to get through because it's very Londonderry, Ireland. Accurate.
Well, that's okay. I'm making my way through Wellington Paranormal.
Yes, we have that as well. Man, that's hard.
Well, when they're not speaking so off the cuff between each other quickly, I can understand everything. But when they're like, I have to go back and go, and a lot of the stuff I can't ever get, and I just infer it.
Yeah, and some of it is like New Zealand colloquialisms that we're not going to understand anyway.
And the great thing is, growing up having watched Monty Python and Fawlty Towers and the Young Ones, I know that is a funny joke that I do not get.
Yep.
The difference between then and now is that I can pause it, type that in, and go, ha ha, that's why it's funny, or hopefully find out. Sometimes it's so native, you cannot get it unless
it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, folks, what we're talking about is it's an offshoot in the What We Do in the Shadows universe is what it is. And it is the two police officers who show up in the movie, and they basically start like an X-Files of Wellington, New Zealand.
Right. It's and no matter what happens, they're like, oh yeah, that guy just spat up a bunch of acid. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, nothing phases them. They don't freak out ever.
The thing that makes me laugh every time is fucking the sergeant and his secret door.
Oh yeah. Boop, 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 boop. You might want to get one more digit in your code.
Entry granted. It's obviously so fun.
Well, it's obviously that he found a supply closet, cleaned it out, put a bookcase in front of it, and made it his secret special.
It just
X-Files.
Makes noises when he wants to go into.
Yeah, exactly. You had mentioned previously about Dairy Girls being 20 minutes, real quick watch.
Yep.
You know what else is a quick watch?
What's up?
Debut episode last night, or no, 2 nights ago.
Oh, what?
WandaVision.
Oh, yes. We watched both of them.
Oh, the second one's out as well?
Yeah, they dropped both of them. They dropped 2 of them.
Oh, well, look at that. I need to get on to that.
Yes,
wasn't even paying attention. And so I'm basing my comments off having just watched the first episode. Okay. And they're setting something up very cool.
Yes.
But I listened to a review of it, a spoiler-free review that they did on Fresh Air. and apparently they're going to keep jumping genres. And I can't wait until they get to the 80s when they can do like their Saved by the Bell episode or something like that. But I think in the end, it's like maybe they're trapped in something. I don't know exactly what's going down, but it's going to be very, very interesting.
I have thoughts. I will not spoil anything. I won't even go into much of the second episode, but I kind of think I know what's going on from comic stuff from years back, and it's going to be cool. I think they're definitely doing their own spin on it, but I also think, but you are correct. So what they have done is, the only thing I'll tell you about the second episode was the first episode was very like Leave It to Beaver.
Right.
The second episode is very like Bewitched. So they're definitely moving through either the eras or the genres, or
they're going like kind of like mid 50s. Now they're getting into early 60s. I wonder if there's going to be a Mary Tyler Moore like episode as they get into the 70s.
Yep, there's definitely like in the teaser you see them running around in what looks like a 70s or like an 8 is enough kind of comedy.
Ooh, maybe they'll do Heart to Heart.
Well, they do one, and they're running around. It must be a Halloween episode because they're running around in what looks like their comic book outfits, which is hilarious. Yeah, like tights, and she's like in the comic, she's got a dumb headdress thing, and so I'm on board. I was happy because it's a very slow, they're dropping little, it's like this is what we're doing, and then there's this whole other undertone of stuff going on. So as we go on further,
getting Deborah Jo Rupp in that first episode,
phenomenal.
I fucking more of her, please.
Yes, phenomenal.
Much more of her.
Sitcom queen.
Oh my gosh, I kept expecting to go Red.
Yep.
Or having a drink and making that.
She gets a little kitty out of her, in that episode, and so
we love it. But what we don't love, or what I don't love, maybe is Wonder Woman 1984.
Okay. This was caused some controversy on my timeline, it's not great. It's not great.
I do remember what you said on your timeline about, please stop ragging, or like, let's everyone rag on this movie so we never have another female direct, and I didn't reply to it, but my reply to you now is no. Bad is bad, male or female. The problem is that when you rag on a badly directed film by a male, it's not because they're a male, it's something else, or because they're bad, but it's not their gender that causes it. But when a female does something, like, well, I guess a female just can't do this.
That was my point.
So
yes,
it has absolutely nothing to do with their gender. Bad is bad, and Wonder Woman 1984 is a bad film.
And my entire point was all the people who back the money, who are scared to begin with, especially of a female directing a movie. I just think the harder you are on it, yes, bad is bad, and no one gets a pass, but it's going to be harder for more women to make tentpole superhero movies, and I don't know how to combat that.
Because what needs to be combated is tying someone's creative output to their gender. I mean, if she was making a film that was, I don't know, all female, about female, I mean, I don't, how do you tie it to gender? It doesn't make sense, but for some reason, a lot of people, that, so it's what we're battling is these stereotypes and these impressions that some people have that a failure or a success is directly tied to your gender. Well, only a woman could have told this story.
But
wrong.
No, only
a man could have told this story. Wrong again.
Yeah.
They may have told it differently. But I want to see a decoupling of gender from a review of a film. Now, obviously, if you are a female, you have a certain perspective that you can bring that perhaps a male cannot. but that's like an aspect. Like someone who was born in Bangladesh might make a film differently from the same script that someone who was born in America. You know, it's just where you're coming from, but it's not tied directly. Success or failure is not directly tied to, oh, well, that film would have been a success if American had directed it, but this Bangladeshi directed it, so I guess people from Bangladesh can't direct films. Decouple that shit.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, hey, Ava DuVernay has gone on to did some great stuff before and great stuff after, but A Wrinkle in Time was a fucking abortion.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. One of the worst films I've seen in the last decade, only because I love the book so much, and it was so utterly fucked up. But you know what? Even if I had never read the book, and I hadn't read it,
I hadn't read
years.
It. I hadn't really read it, and my opinion was, it wasn't that wasn't great.
If you had read the book, you would have known how amazing it could have been.
Yeah.
How, you know, and it's not about the casting. Sure, they made Meg Black in the film. Really, it makes no difference. You have to get around some of the Irish stuff that Madeleine L'Engle wrote into the book, but it's not crucial. They don't have to be. Meg does not have to be a white Irish, a girl of Irish heritage.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. It was just wrong. The pacing was bad. The motivations for half the characters were like, what? Which is, again, what's going on in Wonder Woman 1984. It's like, so your dead boyfriend from 70 years ago is back, but it's in someone else's body, and you have no problem with that? No problem with that? You're sleeping? Yeah. That's, all I see is you. No, okay. You may see him, but it's somebody else's body. Yeah, and where is this guy? Is he in the sunken place now? Where's your morality about that? Oh, look, I can learn to fly now because I need to. Oh, look, I can lasso a fucking lightning bolt. That's not how lightning works.
Well, people can't fly either. I mean, that's a comic book.
I know. It goes back to the argument, oh, really? You have no problem with guys with laser swords, but you bitch and moan about there being sound in space.
The Ninja Turtles are fine, but that microscope won't do that. I literally had that argument.
Right, exactly. And I know it's inconsistent. It's being inconsistent. It's being picky. And you lean into hating it when there's so much other things, God, Max Gold, what a fucking...
Maxwell Lord, actually.
Is it Lord? Oh, why not Maxwell Gold? Lord. Max Lord.
It's interesting. Maxwell Lord was a kind of a utility DC bad guy / good guy. He was... He's been around forever, and this was a totally different take on him. Like one series I read in the 90s, he was bankrolling the Justice League, the Justice League America, and he was like a dwarf for some reason, and he was it was a very silly run of JLA, and it was great. It was super fun, but he's always, he's one of those guys that was never defined, like Simon Stagg, who's in Wonder Woman 84, was kind of a utility bad guy.
Right. Well, I mean, it's, God, I have to look after my son again? Jeez. Oh, I'm sorry, kid. Oh, he's gone. Oh, whatever. I'm going to do my shit. Oh, no. Wonder Woman is talking to me while I'm in the middle of the power grid or whatever the fuck it is at the end there. Yeah. He's being protected. The lasso can't reach him, but her words can. And it's
DC doing its thing,
I was hoping this was going to be the Superman 2, the Empire Strikes Back, the Godfather 2, where things just fucking come together and rock. No. And they definitely do not.
They don't have they still don't have anybody steering the ship. They don't have anybody in charge and like a vision, and they should hand it over to Greg Berlanti and let him like mold everything together.
Hey, maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe he's been offered it and he went, no.
I don't know.
You don't have enough money to for me to get this thing back, back in order.
I mean, he's got like 9 TV shows on the air, including one by our friend Steve Yockey. He is executive producing that The Flight Attendant on HBO,
which I watched the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it had Missy, so there we go. That's all I needed was Missy.
Missy. Oh yeah. Oh my God, yeah, and she got to be Scottish, which was amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she got to be awesome. I liked her just fine. The series was fine. I mean, it proves yes, Kaylee Cuoco can act, but I mean, not spectacularly, not poorly, just like she did fine. She did fine.
Yep.
It was okay.
Yep.
Will I watch the next series? Apparently, they're going to do another one.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to we'll have to find out what's going on, because if this is the flight attendant gets herself into another kooky mix-up, I'm like, it's strange credulity. But then again, laser swords, sound in space,
yeah, exactly.
Things happen. You need some, you need that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm not too keen on adding more shows. On the plus side, back to Wonder Woman, they've already greenlit the third one.
They have indeed.
So good
with Patty Jenkins, who is also. See, I have no problem with her. I think I think DC might have mucked up the script and whatever, because they fucked up the first one too. They changed the whole ending on her and made her do the big CGI thing at the end. But she's doing, she got greenlit for Wonder Woman 3, but she's also going to be helming a Star Wars movie. She's going to be doing a movie called Rogue Squadron. So she's doing basically a fighter pilot movie.
Oh yeah, I saw the promo where she puts on the helmet and walks. Yeah.
So I am super excited for that one.
At this point, if the pedigree of the people, even at the executive producer level, are quality people, I'm pretty much down with any Star Wars live action they're doing, because they proved it with, they were very smart. They waited until after the second series of The Mandalorian, like, not a fluke, wait for it, and we did it again. See, we can do this.
And we upped it.
And we upped it. So it may also be that, the board at Disney was like, let's do another series of The Mandalorian before we hand over this truckload of money to you, because we're going to give you all our Avengers profits to turn it, it's not like we're making a ton of money off our theme parks these days.
Well, that's the thing. I'm sure they were like, please be good, please be good, please be good, please be good. And, and when it worked, and they're like, oh, this is making us all the money and keeping the subscriptions up.
Exactly. I mean, Disney Plus has been like a runaway success.
Well,
I mean, the fact that was such a success is probably what prompted HBO Max to make a deal with Warner Brothers for all their first run theatrical films are going to hit the theaters and online the same day.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, for me personally, that's about a 90-10 proposition. I will opt for watching it at home. And certain films though need to be seen on a big screen. Like when Disney finally gets around to doing another 2-hour Star Wars film, mandatory theater. I mean, you can watch it when you get home. You can watch it again,
right?
If it's already online. That's Disney. They probably are not going to do the same day shit like Warner Brothers and HBO Max.
No.
But they got the windows. Disney's got those vaults. It's going into the vault, coming out of the vault, going back into the vault again.
Well, Warner Brothers, I had for a while, I'd subscribed to their platform, DC Comics platform, and they had all their content up there. They had all of the Superman movies, they had all of the Nolan Batman movies, they had everything but the Adam West stuff. They had the animated stuff. They had all kinds of. And slowly it all started porting over to HBO Max, and I was like, I bet this thing's gonna go away, because it came out 2 years ago, and it had been out for a year, when Disney Plus was coming out, and it was like, hey, do you want to re-up your subscription? We'll knock $25 off of it. Don't cancel, please. And it held out as long as it could. And I think it's all just comic books now. Like they just put the comics up, which is fine, but I'm not gonna do it.
See, they're finally realizing they need to do what Marvel has done. Marvel doesn't have a standalone. It's backed with Disney. Now, DC is looking around going, all right, HBO Max, sure, we'll jump over there. Although I think it's more HBO Max not doing too well. I mean, they've got some decent shows. They've got some good competition coming from Amazon. You know, for all the Prime, the people on Prime, there's new original shows, of which there are so many.
It's too much.
It hurts. It hurts to watch, to think about watching. Sidebar, Your Honor.
Yep.
A show called Your Honor with Bryan Cranston.
I have seen ads for that. I have no idea what it is. I'm sure it's him as a judge.
Well, Bryan Cranston is a judge, and his son is involved in a hit and run with the son of a New Orleans crime boss. And it's all about, can he cover up the crime and protect his son? Because the crime boss wants to know who killed his son. And it's all about that.
Interesting.
It's not really showing Cranston off as well as I'd like, but he's doing okay. It's a solid show. I'm glad I'm watching it. But one thing they announced recently, and this is the little surprise that I had mentioned in the pre-show game. There has been a new sequel announced, a new Marvel film coming out. Is that ringing?
Marvel film. I mean, there's a bunch that I know are supposedly in the pipeline, and I'm sure I know what you're talking about. I mean,
but this was just announced in the last, say, 10 days.
Give me something.
It's the third part of a trilogy that we never thought we'd see part 3, but it's happening.
Trilogy. It's not Spider-Man. Then we knew that was happening.
No.
Yeah, you got me. I don't know what you're doing.
Think about it. Use maximum effort.
Oh, yes. And not only that, they're going to tie it into the
Marvel Universe.
Yes. Deadpool 3. That's going to be insane.
If Deadpool shows up with his R-rated mouth in a regular Avengers film, or whatever they come up with, whatever's in the docket, I haven't been keeping up with it because there's only so much space in my brain to keep track of everything that I'm never going to be able to watch on time. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been wanting to watch Narcos for 4 or 5 years.
Jeez, yeah.
Still haven't gotten to that. You know, I hear it's really good. I'll get to it someday. You know, I'm only now finishing up The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and that's been over with for 2 years now.
Yeah. We did a lot of that. We didn't finish it, so.
I'm getting there. But
Deadpool,
Deadpool.
I don't know how that's going to work at all.
My guess is that if it's tied into a PG-13, it will be a lot of Family Guy style humor, in the sense that I'm not going to say fuck, but I'm going to walk you up to the cliff of the dirtiest joke possible without using any swear words, and then I'm going to walk away and I'm going to leave it, and the audience can jump over that cliff. That's what I think, because that's, Family Guy has gotten away with some seriously nasty shit by never ever using a single swear word.
Right.
There's ways to work that in. It's probably not going to be full power R-rated Deadpool, but it's going to be more like a soft R.
Yeah.
Giggity.
Yeah.
So I'm very much pumped for that, because I really would like to see, Ryan Reynolds continue with that character.
He's perfect. It's the perfect marriage of character and actor.
And Daddy's got to get some money to keep Mint Mobile going.
Yes, he just everything he does is just freaking genius. The commercial with Rick Moranis, just so he could meet Rick Moranis, was amazing. To get him out of retirement to do that dumbass commercial was amazing.
And then he got punched in the face shortly after.
Yeah.
And Rick's like, see, fuck all y'all. I'm going back into retirement. It's like, if you're coming out of retirement, really, we could have used you in the Ghostbusters reboot, just a little cameo, and that would have been lovely. I'm sure he was asked.
He was, and he was like, no, why would I do that? And everybody else did it.
Yeah, everybody else did it.
Yeah.
So, and it was a huge success. Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, I did too. And that's the thing. Some of my favorite films are just dreadful box office failures.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
St. Elmo's Fire. Actually, St. Elmo's Fire did okay. Not great. It did okay.
Right.
But it definitely looms larger in my library. I found an Australian daybill on eBay and a promotional video release hat for St. Elmo's Fire recently.
Oh, good Lord.
And they are on their way to me.
Good for you.
Right. That's the film I collect everything of.
I can't judge. Trust me.
I'm so far into it now. It's like there's hundreds of other films that are better, but that's the sweet spot for me. And I make no apologies for it. By the way, my Young Ones barf poster. Yeah. I've had an alert on eBay for years, decades. The very first one ever showed up on eBay recently. Okay. And the guy listed it for $150. It didn't sell, but he listed it for $150. So, I mean, it's barf, it's piles of barf.
I don't think I know that.
Yeah, it used to be on the wall in my kitchen in my apartment back before I bought my house.
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was perfect for the kitchen. Like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to put the barf poster in the kitchen because that's how I roll. Hey, when you don't have a significant other to tell you hell no, you go to places that any woman walking in would be like, all right, if we're doing this, you're not doing any of this anymore. Yeah. I'm not going to live in a house with a fucking barf poster in the kitchen.
I hope you had fun with that while you did.
Yes. Your extended bachelorhood is over. Yes. We're going to be responsible now. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, that's all I had, except for a little thing that happened recently.
What's that?
A bunch of fucking nut jobs stormed the Capitol.
Yeah, that did happen.
I mean, we don't, you guys know what's up, so we're not going to rehash, the timeline, how it happened. Trump's a fucking loser baby who can't get over it. People in Congress are, afraid of the death tweet, although not anymore.
What happened?
There is no, you didn't hear? Oh, of course you heard.
Well,
Trump's been banned from Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So no more death tweets.
Yes.
I mean, he could put out a parlor. What's it called? A parlay? Is that what they call it?
Is that what? Oh man, I didn't even know that.
And the thing is, parlor and parlay. That's cool. I like that name, and they're using it for that.
That's awful.
I've loved the word parlay for years. But anyway, he puts out a statement on Parlor, and he's just talking to the choir. He's preaching to the choir. Yeah. He can't death parlay from Parlor or whatever, or Gab or whatever the fucking Stormfront website or whatever he's using to get his fucking message out there. So, what are we? We're recording on the 17th. Yeah. And in 3 days, Trump's officially out, Biden's in, and everything will magically be the same for a while.
For a long time.
But the tone will be much different, and the capacity for hope will be greatly elevated. Yes. But, nobody I know, and especially not me, just because he put his hand on the Bible and Trump's officially gone, man, it's like you dug a 400-foot hole and now you've got to find a way to get out of it.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. So my guess is that if we can get back to relative normal within 18 months, I will consider that a massive success.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we'll be mostly vaccinated by the early fall, maybe late summer. We'll see. I'm hopeful. And as the knock-on effects of people getting back to work and feeling safe again happen, I'm thinking 18 months before we start feeling things are relatively normal. And then it's the midterms, and then it becomes nightmares all over again.
That's the thing, man. These life and death elections are just killing me. I mean, this shouldn't be this way. It should be a thing you like, oh, I'm going to go do that and vote, and it shouldn't be like the world is going to end if this goes wrong.
But when we know it's going to end, in places like Georgia, home of Stacey, say her name Abrams,
yep,
we not only turned Georgia blue for the presidential race, we knocked out one sitting and one appointed, or one who won electorally, one who was appointed, Republican senator.
Yeah.
Nailed them to the wall. They didn't even fight it. There was talks about, they'd still be fighting as Joe Biden put his hand on the Bible, their loss if they lost. But no.
But then a couple of nutsacks broke into the Capitol, and they were like, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Yeah. Well, basically, both of the victories were outside the 0.5% that
call for a recount. Yeah.
Well, the loser would have to request it. It wouldn't be automatic. In some states, losses within a certain percentage point, the recount is automatic. Here, you'd have to request it, and it was outside that margin. And then there was the attack on the Capitol, and Kelly Loeffler, who was going to fight to the death for Trump, she lost. There was the insurrection in the Capitol, and she goes, "I'm not going to fight anything. I'm not going to contest the election." She was just like, "I don't need this shit anymore. I've lost. I'm not going to go out on a limb for this president." And David Perdue pretty much has disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, we don't want people who've lost elections to, go and cower in shame or anything, but we certainly don't want them to, scream at the top of their lungs about election rigging and fraud like Trump did.
For months and months and
right.
months and months.
Perdue just issued a statement. He won. I lost. Best of luck. And that was it. And you know what? That's fine. That is both the least and most we want out of you. Because I concede. Best of luck. Peace out.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And that pretty much is what's happened in Georgia. So we'll see if Georgia remains blue in 2 years, because I predict Stacey Abrams made herself didn't run for Senate because she wanted to make herself available as a pick for VP if that was the way Joe Biden was going to go. Mm-hmm. And if he didn't, she's going to take another crack at governor. Because a lot of the MAGA people are furious with Kemp because he didn't help them rig the election or stop the steal.
Snake eating its own tail is almost beautiful to watch.
Oh, it's delicious. I love it. More, please. Nom nom nom.
The wrong, how every turn they're wrong, and it gets worse. Even the people who try to do the right thing, they get slammed on. When the Republicans turn around and are like, well, okay, he didn't win the election, and they're now the targets, and it's all collapsing on, it's imploding in on itself.
And then Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia,
asterisk,
his secretary of state, Brad Raffensperger, he recorded a call where Trump was basically saying, "Find me votes."
Yeah.
And then he released it.
Did you see the 60 Minutes interview with him?
I did not.
Oh yeah, look it up. It's pretty great.
Okay. I applaud.
Last weekend, I think.
I applaud Brad Rafflesberger for having a name that most people can't pronounce correctly. I can laugh at it. For not becoming a complicit in Trump's election bullshit. But at the same time, this is the guy that also was complicit in purging voter rolls, closing down. So he's no angel.
No, not at all.
Yeah. It's like somebody who's been on a tri-state murder spree going, look, I bought an ice cream cone for an orphan. Are we good now?
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not.
But at least he stepped up in that regard. And, they asked him about, it was a great interview. They asked him, they said, okay, dead voters, people voting, there's Republicans always say that the Democrats, more people voted than were alive or whatever. And he said, oh, we did find that. We found 2 votes that were fraudulent.
Yeah, and they were both Republican.
And they're both Republican. Or either way, he said we're looking into it. We're going to find out how that happened. And,
well, there's the guy who tried to vote as his deceased mother for Trump.
Yeah.
All the Republicans keep decrying voter fraud, and then when they are asked for proof, they're like, well, and then the Democrat goes, I have proof. Republican just did it. Yeah. But of course, we know we can't judge the entire group by one bad apple, right? Most of the voters did the right thing. Most of the rioters, at the Capitol were actually peaceful. It was just a few bad apples, a few thousand bad apples that did bad things. Like, oh, I love how you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. Let's talk about Black Lives Matter protests where 99% of the people were peaceful, and then a couple some hot-headed assholes decide to do some shooting or some burning or some smashing. And all of a sudden,
that was after the somebody throws a water bottle and then the tear gas comes out. That never happened at the Capitol.
Right. Oh, good grief. There's even talk of some of the Capitol Police were complicit in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I tell you, if Black Lives Matter, if a Black Lives Matter protest had stormed the Capitol, first of all, I'd say you got cause, man. I understand.
What took you so long?
I mean, I it's like I don't condone wife beating, but I understand it.
Terrible joke.
Thank you, Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
And if that had been a Black Lives Matter protest that said, what, they're voting right now to, outlaw Black Lives Matter. We're going to storm the Capitol. I guarantee you there would be tens, maybe even hundreds dead.
Yeah.
Arrested. The arrests would stretch into the thousands.
Yeah.
And out of the Capitol at the time, I think 13. We had, 13 arrests at the time. Now they're going back. They realize how fucked up it was, and they're combing through. Apparently, the FBI is not fucking around.
Yeah.
They basically have said, if you were there, you better turn yourself in, because if we have to come after you, it's going to be even worse.
Yeah, they even said, if you had an iPhone at the Capitol, we know, and we're going to come get you.
Yeah, because we may not be able to crack your iPhone if we get our hands on it, but we know through cell towers and your service providers, where you are. And part of that is like, oh, good. And then part of me goes, oh, that's creepy.
A little bit. Yeah, it's very creepy. But in this case, it's useful.
I know it's the technology is a double-edged sword. Well, basically any technology is.
Yeah.
Any new technology is used for surveillance or for porn right off the bat.
Everyone's at the same time.
I'm not going to take the vaccine because they're going to microchip me. Like, they don't need to microchip you. You carry your microchip in your hand and play games on it. That's how they microchip you. It's okay.
It's a macro chip.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's right. What Dan is saying is fuck you Android users. And quite frankly, they're cheaper and probably just as good as iPhone. But darn it, I'm a Mac person, and I can't quit you, baby.
Same.
I pay way too. I'm about to buy a new computer. Luckily, I usually buy Mac Pros, and the new Mac Pro came out recently, and it is double the cost of normal. I usually spent $3,000 on a new computer for just the computer, nothing else, which is already ridiculous. The new Mac Pro starts at $6,000. And
cheese grater.
Nope. Yeah, the cheese grater. Like, nope, I'm out. So now it's a Mac Mini for me. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I've got.
Yeah, same. I don't think I have anything else.
All right. I can come back into it. Second. Okay.
Go for it.
So you know about the cheese grater?
Yes, the cheese grater. Yes.
You know about the cheese grater. It's a very nice design. I rather like it. But have you heard what Apple's getting into next?
No.
They're getting into automobiles.
Oh no.
Yep. They're talking with I believe Hyundai of all places to make the new Apple car.
Oh my God.
Which of course means it'll be starting at $900,000 or whatever for the Apple car.
But it'll have iTunes in it. Yeah.
Right. iTunes comes pre-installed. But one of the features they're playing around with that I desperately want them to have, and might get me to buy an iCar. I guess is what
that would
call it.
Yeah, that's what it would be called.
Yeah. Apparently the new iCars, the feature that they want to put in them is
medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I'll tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Benny Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lono. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Bronner Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices of Howard & Fine. Luke Skywalker. Our intro music was written by Tim Aker. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Farming. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube, stream us on Spotify, listen on Soundcloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, pound@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ.
Audio Primate.